knows that this campaign is not about what he's done, it's not about the past, it's about the future. He is willing and able and eager and has the guts to bring us forward. He is running because he's got insider's experience, but he's got an outsider's approach to solving our problem, and that, I think, is key. So, without further ado, I want a really warm, democratic San Diego welcome for our United States Congressman, the next mayor of our city, Congressman Bob Philner.
Democratic convention led by our great leader, Jess Durfee. Thank you, Jess. I don't know if you know it, but we have, since Jess Durfee became chair of the party, the first time we have a majority on the council who are Democrats, and the registration figures in the city are incredibly Democratic. Thank you, Jess Durfee. You know, it's traditional at things like this to introduce, you know, the elected officials, which I'm going to do, and they say the dignitaries, stand up please, you know, and all that, and they are. But at a time when everybody is so cynical about politics, the relationship between the people you represent and the elected official is still should be, and is to me, incredibly powerful. I mean, if you're working on behalf of people and not special interests, if you don't have people like yourself who are supporting us, who are loving us, you can't do the job. So I just want to thank you. You are all the dignitaries, the folks who walk precincts and answer phones and just say you're supporting us. It's you that keep me going, really. We could not do this job without you. So I want to thank all the dignitaries who are in the room. You know, they say something, you know, the Supreme Court said the corporations are people. No, you are the people. And I am going to rely on you, certainly not the corporations, to get me elected as mayor. So thank you so much for being here. When I looked at the Democratic registration figures for the city of San Diego, I was amazed. I mean, we have a 12 or 13% percentage. We're going to win this race. Come on. Yeah. We're going to win this race. But we're going to go beyond the Democrats, because everybody in this city understands that although we may be America's finest city, we're still not America's greatest city. Because there's so much potential that we can reach, that we can use, that we can accomplish. We've been standing still for decades. Whether we like them or not, there hasn't been a really strong mayor probably since Pete Wilson. And bless his soul, but and we just stand still as a city. We've been locked in this pension thing for 7, 8 years now. We're going to get that off the table, by the way. We're going to get that off the table without throwing our public employees under the bus to do it. We're going to solve that with a fair system. We're not going to leave the people who serve us every day without a pension. We're going to bring down that payment that we have to pay every year and free up budget money for the general fund that can do what a city has to do, whether it's filling potholes or keeping libraries open, keeping the rec centers open, making sure that our firefighters don't have brownouts and our city cops are patrolling the streets. That's what we're going to do with that pension mess. And then we're going to pivot toward the 21st century. What should we be doing as a city? What should we be doing for the kids who are up here so expertly, you know, doing the mariachis? We got to provide jobs. That's the first thing. And I tell you, we don't have to wait for a dysfunctional Washington. We don't have to wait for Sacramento. We can do things right here in San Diego. Let me tell you what we can do. You know, we have a beautiful port. It's the biggest Navy base in the world. A lot of tourist stuff. But until a few years ago, there was no commerce coming through that port. Because San Diego's image was clean. We can't have dirty things like jobs. Do you know if we became a maritime center, we could replace the jobs for very skilled working people who are to become part of the middle class with livable wages. You know, we got prosperity in San Diego based on the defense industry. Skilled people having good jobs. That has left, and we've never replaced it. Let's do that. We can provide thousands of jobs with a reinvigorated port. I can tell you what we've looked at cities around the country. It's not a major public investment, but I will tell you, we can change the whole economic vitality of the city with a port that actually works. You know, up until a few years ago, there were like 12 longshoremen in San Diego. Now, longshoremen have a difficult job, but they're pretty well paid, $125,000 up to $150,000. LA has thousands. We had 12. It's time to change that. And I will tell you, we're going to make sure that that occurs when I'm mayor of San Diego. In addition, the Chamber of Commerce says that we leave $6 to $8 billion a year on the table because of an inefficient border. A border that could bring over legal crossers for shoppers, for family visits, for cultural exchanges. It's time to make that border, it's a dumb border. It's time to make that border a smart border. And as mayor, I think we can do that. It takes not a lot of, it's a federal investment, but not a lot. I tell you, we studied this with staffing and with some technology. You can make sure that that $6 billion is recovered every single year. And why aren't we the alternative energy capital of the United States? We have 361 days of sun. And not only can we create a demand, I mean, Barrera and I are going to make sure all the public buildings, we could do that with Kehoe too. All the public buildings are powered by solar heating and cooling. That creates a demand that leads to jobs, that leads to the rest of the city having solar energy and wind energy and geothermal. We have got to do that, and I think this latest blackout that we had just underlines what happens when you are dependent on fossil fuels in a very centralized system. Let's get rid of that possibility and get rid of the way that they control our lives. So we can create jobs here in San Diego. What I said we can do here. We can create a livable, sustainable city. You know, when we talk about transportation and housing and land use as a comprehensive whole, we do a lot of different things that will bring public transportation here, that will bring affordable housing here, that will allow us to keep our beautiful city and yet have a more livable city. That's a whole cluster of issues we'll be talking about in the campaign. I'm sure most of you agree with that. We got to find a way to implement it, and that's what we will do when I'm mayor of San Diego. You've all watched downtown redevelopment. It's been a success to some degree. I mean, in terms of the degrees that have been defined in. In fact, when I was on the city council, I represented downtown. So long ago, nobody here was even born yet. I wrote the gas lamp plan. You go down to the gas lamp today, whereas 15 years ago, it's lively, it's dynamic, there's things happening, it brings tourists. 15 years ago, there was 0 people on the street. I mean, there was some porno shops. Oh, Jessamine. No, I'm sorry. You know, there were tattoo parlors. The Navy guys strolled around, but that was it. And we changed that through a concentrated effort at planning and investment, which changed the whole nature of downtown. But downtown is not a blighted area anymore. Why do we have a city center development corporation that takes our tax dollars for bigger buildings and bigger things that everybody can already afford? They don't need the public investment. I want to turn CCDC into a neighborhood investment corporation. A neighborhood investment corporation. Let's bring those dollars into the various neighborhoods, whatever they need. Some neighborhoods need parks, some need, infrastructure, other types of infrastructure. Some need a swimming pool, whatever. Let's define those needs in a new way. Let's define what the neighborhoods need and bring those dollars to them. And finally, I think you will find when you bring in the neighborhoods, you gotta have a more open, accessible government for everybody. I can tell you, I can look at the people who are today. Many of the neighborhoods you come from have been left out of San Diego's politics and economy. Maybe school system too. That is, the city has not responded to the needs of all of our citizens. And we've got to change that, and that's a more accessible government. When I was out walking the other day, I went past City Hall, and I just looked at the front door. Most of us forget, we walk in and we don't look at the signs or anything. You know, it says there, City Administration Building, hours 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Now, what kind of 21st city operates 9 to 5, Monday through Friday? Who can go to City Hall if you're at work in person, or if you're taking care of kids? Only the lobbyists get in there and they get paid for it. This morning at a debate we had, the first debate of the thing, I tore up that sign in front of everybody and said, hey, why don't we open City Hall in the evening one night, at least one night a week? Let people come and get the services they need. I mean, it seems so obvious. I don't know why it hasn't been done. Let the mayor be there Saturday morning so he can meet the people. So we're going to open up the city government to the real people of this city. We're going to make it more accessible, more relevant, more meaningful, because this is the basic level of government that people have to deal with every day. And you're going to find a mayor, when I'm mayor, who's going to talk about, he'll go down to the port, talk about maritime industry. He'll go down to the CCDC, which will be renamed the Neighborhood Investment Corporation, talk about things. He'll go to the school board. I'm sure you'll love that, Richard. Why doesn't a city like San Diego take care of its children from 6 to 6, let's say? We give the school system 9 to 3, but what do we do before and after when mostly they get into trouble? Well, what does the city have? The city has museums. The city has some cultural life, which we're going to greatly expand, by the way. The city has we have major league teams. We ain't giving any more public money to, by the way. We got big businesses, we got small businesses, we got the Navy. All of these can take care of our kids at times when the school system just can't. Why doesn't the whole city take care of its children? Imagine kids going to the museums after school, going over to the Padres, figuring out not only meeting the athletes, but how a business works. Going over into some small business and showing how their mathematics that they're taking in school really works, is needed in the real world. A city can do that. All of these issues, by the way, that I've talked about, takes leadership. Doesn't take billions of dollars. Doesn't take, rocket science. It takes someone who's prepared to go from neighborhood to neighborhood, get the people involved in their government, and say, we demand this accessible government that's going to be for everybody. And when I am mayor of San Diego, with your support, that's what we're going to do. Please sign up to be a volunteer. Please take the yard signs. Please make sure you're helping. Our office is downtown San Diego. Get involved. This is going to be a campaign for all of San Diego. Thank you so much.